Alrighty, hello everybody, welcome. We are here for another Friday stream, and I have left the pet camera. It's on, but there we go. Yeah, that's good Dutch angle there is what you always want to experience. Bandita, where did you go? There we go. I don't know if you guys can actually see her or not, but there she is in her beauty and her glory, obsessively watching the rabbits that are outside currently. Hope you all are having a good Friday. Oh my goodness, I cannot believe it was already 6 p.m. I feel like it went from like 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. in like 2 hours. It's been a crazy day, but we are here regardless. It's pretty cool here. It's like in the low 70s. It's actually been kind of cloudy and rainy like the last week or so. I think allegedly it's supposed to get warmer over this weekend, but see when I believe it. I actually really like the fact that it's cool and rainy now, which means when I'm going camping next weekend, there won't be like fires everywhere, hopefully. There's not going to be smoke in the air because maybe things won't be burning as actively. So I'm happy enough to have summer rains because it means that forests are less likely to catch on fire. Heatwave died here in Nipa. What's Nipa? Northeastern Pennsylvania? Is that what that stands for? That's the best thing I can guess. That's as close as I've gotten. Alrighty, so I am going to go ahead and get into it with our little intro here for our stream. So, hi, my name's Evie Lupine, and I do a live stream every Friday here on YouTube at 6 o'clock Pacific time. I usually put a couple of suggestions for things that we could talk about in the title of the live stream. For example, AI dating and relationships. One big thing, because I just finished writing a 9.5 page, 6,000 word video, which, for reference, is about twice as long as my normal videos. So you're going to get like an approximately 45-minute long video of me talking about AI dating and relationships. I thought we could talk a little bit about that, have a little bit more of a conversation. And following up from last week, I was really surprised at the response to the male submission video and like male subs, because I know that a pretty good chunk of my audience involves men who submit, but I got some kind of contentious responses, but to see how commonly almost every single woman who is a dominant or a switch who also tops or doms, every single one of them left a comment that was like, yep, I've had this experience. And the fact that that is so common is very sad to me. All the male subs also had a lot of very common experiences, obviously, with being scammed and such like, but I knew that going into it, which is why I could make assessments about this happens to male subs a lot. Whereas with female dominants, not knowing as many of them that are not professionals by numbers, it's sort of sad to hear that on both sides of the equation, some issues persist in being very common. I wanted to thank you for doing an ADHD and BDSM video. My husband and I found it very helpful and informative. Oh, you're so welcome. I really enjoyed making that video. I think especially the video I did about like specifically ADHD, and not I did kind of two. One's like the study on like how common is it for kinky people to be neurodivergent, and then the one specifically on ADHD and BDSM. I get like, it makes me a little sad to be like, oh, there's so many people where they're like, oh, you talk so nicely about people with ADHD. I'm so surprised. And it's like, the fact that it's like surprising that somebody who doesn't have ADHD would like speak kindly about people who do is like, oh, it's not that hard, actually. It's like, I think people have frustrating experiences with all kinds of people, but to make generalized statements or to be like they're lazy or whatever is just, that's always been ridiculous to me. Absolutely redonkulous. But as I was saying, 18 plus only live stream. We talk generally about some things that could be in the title, random things, BDSM, dating, polyamory, kink stuff, all of the above in various combinations, queer issues, asexuality, pop culture things that are happening that weirdly more commonly seem to overlap with those other things now more than ever, which I'm not sure how I feel about it. Probably mostly negative, but things enter the zeitgeist, things leave the zeitgeist. I'm sure whatever amount of kink is currently part of the media landscape will fade once again back into obscurity. And I think probably a good reason for why it's popular right now is rise in conservatism politically, suddenly art now more expressive sexually, sort of a weird counterbalance thing happening culturally, weird tension going on. But that's the way it goes sometimes. Also, please read the rules and the FAQ down below. Just some quick little highlights for y'all. Answer questions. The whole point of this live stream is for y'all to ask questions, and I answer them, and we hang out, and we chit-chat, and we have a fun time, and people in the chat also contribute their thoughts, because I don't know everything about everything, nor can I speak from every possible perspective, nor do I try to. So it's really nice sometimes to hear from people that are different age brackets, different life experience, different perspective in terms of top, bottom, dom, sub, gender identity, all of that good stuff. And I'll shout those out if I see them in the chat for people who have additional thoughts and things they want to contribute. But basically, I don't give mental health advice. I don't give... There's a motorcycle again. The fact that no matter where I live, there's a man with a motorcycle who interrupts my live streams every time is enduringly funny to me. Okay, so here's the tea. I have a neighbor whose motorcycle got severely damaged in like a crash or something, and they left it parked outside for like 2 or 3 weeks. I guess they were probably waiting for like the damage assessment to come through. And then he replaced the motorcycle with an even bigger motorcycle. Must have been a pretty good insurance payout in the end. And now I just have constantly dealing with people revving their engines. To be fair, I start streaming at a time when some people are still coming home from work, so okay, fair enough, but still funny. So anyways, read the rules down below. Sometimes my thoughts get off track because somebody with a loud engine goes vroom vroom, and I dog brain, can't help it. Read the rules down below. I answer questions in the order they come in. That is the best way to make sure your question gets answered, is to ask it early, because then I will see it sooner, and then that means I can answer it sooner. And we like rambling, we like long answers here, we like thorough answers, so I typically don't get to like 100 questions in one episode. That's just how it is. I don't give medical and mental health advice. Listen to the mods. Please be respectful. Don't spam the chat. I will try to get to your question as soon as I possibly can. If I don't get to it, it's either because I skipped over it for a good reason, or you spammed the chat and that annoyed me. So this is not a live stream with like 10,000 concurrent viewers. You can just put it in the chat and I'll probably see it, unless it's, been an hour, and then maybe I won't. But don't spam it. It'll all be okay. Yeah, our schedule just happened to line up. Me and everyone with a motorcycle, apparently, I guess. Y'all are on other schedules. This person at least isn't obnoxious. Like, I think they're just doing their motorcycle thing. I've lived around other people where they're doing laps. They're going up and down. They're like making sure the whole neighborhood knows that they're riding a motorcycle. And that's just like, I know there's somebody who like lives near here who has a baby, and it's like, oh, that baby wasn't taking a nap, This is making it more difficult for everybody. Yeah, so that's that on that. That's what y'all need to know. Talking about femdom stuff, talking about AI dating, and probably talking about other things. All right, so we're going to go into it. Let me find some questions. The new art is so good, like back in the 90s type goth. Oh, I'm glad you like it. Yes, it's very like Bratz doll. Like Bratz doll, sort of Monster High doll energy, which I really like. I thought it was cute. And the music, it's all just the Birthday Massacre and like synthwave, and it just was like, make something that sounds like this. And then they did it. It was great. It's really nice having copyright-free music that I own personally, that's made just for me, because, never say never, but I don't think anyone's going to copyright claim it. And if they do, I literally have the receipts of where I paid for it to just be made for myself. Heat waves died down a little bit. It was only 85 today rather than 105 it's been the rest of the week. Oh my goodness. I did see that in the Midwest, I don't know if this is currently happening or in the near future, in like Michigan or something, it's going to be really, really hot in the Midwest. And I'm like, they're not equipped for that out there. They're not ready. Oh no, I'm worried. I'm worried about you Midwesterners. We're barely prepared for it here, and it like gets up into the 90s fairly regularly. I'm like, do people you just go to the Great Lakes at that point? You just like swim out into the Great Lakes? Is that the solution when there's a giant heat wave like that? I guess probably so. Oh, thank you for the love. I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, rains are still heavy. The rabbits are really cute. They're so big. The rabbits are like the size of my dog. It's crazy. They're eating good out here, let me tell you. They are eating good. Hey Evie, my girlfriend and I took your advice from last week, and she whipped the soles of my feet with thick, sharp leaves of pineapple. Took a shortened broom handle. Oh my goodness, you did it! I didn't think anyone was gonna listen. I come up with fucked up ideas all the time. I didn't think anyone was actually gonna make a broom out of pineapple leaves. Oh, you are so brave, Chris. You're so brave. It hurt like hell, drew a little blood. She laughed at me. Oh my goodness. That was sort of my worry, is like whenever you're dealing with let's call it a natural implement like that, especially something that's not perfectly smooth, like a sanded down piece of wood, you're going to deal with the risk of cutting open skin. So I hope you were prepared to deal with that eventuality. But wow, really taking one for the team, Chris. My goodness. That is intense. Wow. I obviously have not done that for myself. So there you go. Wow. What did you do with the actual pineapple? Not a colada. Oh, good point. Yeah, I think the answer there is you use the pineapple for aftercare. I think that's what you got to do. You got to. This is how you say. Okay, here's what you do. This is how you make it into a full scene. All right, is you buy a pineapple at the store. You have your submissive prepare the pineapple. Right, you slice off the outside parts, cut it into rings, dice it up. You do the whole process, and then you tell them, wait, no, don't throw away the leaves, we're going to use them. And then you give them a stick and you're like, I want you to turn this like into a broom, or however you want to, get those two things put together. And then you do, and then you're like, all right, now you get into the position you want to be in to do the foot whipping. And then you do the foot whipping with the pineapple leaves. And then maybe you have them feed you pineapple, like in a sort of like Roman emperor being fed grapes kind of situation. Maybe you slowly feed them pineapple as like a break during the scene, as like an energy boost, like, oh, you're doing so good, here's a little tiny piece of pineapple. Or maybe you do it as an aftercare thing where you both get a little like pineapple treat while you cuddle. And then you haven't wasted anything. You've made use of the whole plant way more than most people do. And then there you go. You've fully made a scene around just pineapple, and that's beautiful. Although I do wonder with the enzymes in pineapple, if you could do something maybe with the juice. I mean, it would be really, you should not do this. This is a terrible idea. I'm not saying to do this, but if you did have like an open wound somewhere, I imagine it probably wouldn't sting as much as lemon juice, but it would not be pleasant to have pineapple juice poured on a wound. If I was going to guess, I would say that's probably a bad idea. Don't do that. But maybe if it incidentally happened, you'd know. I mean, people get like lemon and lime juice and all kinds of things on their cuts all the time. So, I mean, it's not like, not terrible, but you want to make sure you flush it out afterwards. You want to make sure you're taking care of that. Alrighty. So thank you for the update. Oh my goodness. That is something else. Who's got good munchies? I'm going to make scrambled eggs and whole grain toast with strawberry preserves. Ooh, that sounds like a great breakfast. I have water. Earlier today, I had a vegan sushi roll that was actually quite good. I have a weird relationship with sushi. I like it, but it depends on what it is. I can't have like just an avocado roll. If it's too fatty, especially in combination with like the rice, because the rice is kind of sweet, like it just grosses me out and I can't eat more than a couple pieces at a time. It's just the fat and the sugar, it's too much. I can't. It's too rich, I guess. Not for me. But I got a roll that had vegan spicy mayo on the outside, and I think that helped because it was asparagus, and then it was vegan cream cheese, so it actually wasn't that sweet, because most vegan cream cheese is like, if you've had it before, you know, it's like, it's not as sweet as dairy cream cheese is. And then rice on the outside, and then the spicy mayo, and I think the kind of the fresh, not super fattiness of the asparagus plus the spicy mayo like made it tolerable, which makes it sound like I hate sushi. I used to like it a lot more, but it really depends on the place. I like sushi rolls that have pickles in them, like a Japanese pickle. Those are my favorite. If I could have like even just little tiny sushis that are just like different Japanese pickles inside the sushi roll, that's all I really want. But that's like weirdly hard to find. A lot of places do, if they do vegan rolls, they do like really big fancy ones, and it's like, I don't need all that. That's like 3 too many ingredients. Just give me rice, seaweed, Japanese turnip pickle, whatever that is. Just do that. Just those are the only ingredients. That's it. Are you covering the Sabrina Carpenter album discourse? Been waiting on your take on it. So I am not entirely sure what I'm going to do with that. I have sort of 2 ideas, and y'all are going to have to let me know maybe what's more appealing. I am planning either to do 2 separate videos, or maybe one video where I kind of talk about both, and Sabrina Carpenter is sort of a side story of that bigger topic. So I'm planning on doing a video that I'm going to call something like It's Puppy Girl Summer, or like Analyzing the Rise of the Puppy Girl, or like something along those lines, because it is Puppy Girl Summer, and it's been Puppy Girl season, honestly. 2025 is the year of the puppy girl, honestly. It's not even just summer, it's the whole freaking year, between like trans puppy girls hacking stuff, and Sabrina Carpenter's album being man's best friend, and the clear like allusions to, you know, man's best friend and being a dog and all of that. Puppyhoods being popular in very random places on the internet for seemingly no reason. The massive rise in the trans puppy girl community, like kind of seemingly to me almost overnight in the last like year or 2. And having Sabrina Carpenter sort of being like a part of that story in a little way, is sort of here's a part of Hollywood maybe kind of recognizing this trend of, you know, women and dogs kind of suddenly going together. Because this is not like a historically common thing. It is something that happens, but for whatever reason, right now we've moved towards puppies and dogs being closer to femininity than I think maybe they've been associated previously, which I think is interesting. And so maybe not necessarily focusing so much on the album controversy as sort of, here's a celebrity that's capitalizing on this moment that's already had upswells in different places and is using a reference to that and a connection to that, maybe as a way to promote the album. I don't know. I'm not sure if that's actually what she's doing or not. That's just my theory. That's what I think could be happening. As far as Sabrina Carpenter herself and the album controversy on the whole, on the one hand, you could take the Sabrina Carpenter video I already made and more or less copy and paste a lot of those arguments into what I would probably say about this album cover. I guess, spoiler alert for what my opinion about it is, I love the title of the album. I think it's great. The quality, okay, not speaking about the content, not speaking specifically of the nature of the content or the philosophical implications or the social implications of what's in the photo, just the look, the aesthetic of the image itself, I don't love. It reminds me a lot of when Camila Cabello did her pony play photo shoots that I talked about in a video like a year or 2 ago. She did for her album promotion cycle. She did a like pony play fetish photo shoot for some like artsy fartsy magazine, and it had sort of a similar image quality where it was sort of like Polaroid-esque, but then like it's too staged to be like, there's a sweet spot. Like if you're gonna have it look like a Polaroid, it needs to look very candid. It needs to look very unintentional and imperfect, and like it needs to seem like it's capturing a private moment, I guess. Whereas this feels, it's both, it's too put together to look like a genuine Polaroid, but then it doesn't look good enough to look like a very intentional photograph. And it's kind of in the middle in a way that, like, I don't find aesthetically pleasing in terms of how it's constructed. So just on that level, I'm like, I don't love the image. But I think as an album cover, I was shocked by, like, the degree of outrage that it garnered based on the content of it, because she doesn't look like she's in pain. She's not screaming. She's not crying. She doesn't look like she's fighting back. She looks like kind of neutral to happy about the experience. Like, the number of people who look at that and go, oh my God, it's promoting DV. It's like, do you know, like, what? Like, I remember I saw one Twitter thread of someone who was saying, like, this is exactly how I looked in the mirror after I was violently assaulted, and, like, promoting this isn't okay. And I'm like, you can have whatever personal associations with this that you want. I'm not going to police that. But I do think that that's maybe not representative, and this is certainly not what I would consider an image that's promoting domestic violence, like, would look like, based on the framing of it. Like, Sabrina is in the photo itself. Sabrina is clearly the central character of the photo, right? She's the one primarily in frame. The man, his face is not even seen. She's also, like, fairly covered up, which, like, for the number of people who are like, oh my God, this is so slutty. It's like, you can't see cleavage, you can't see butt. Like, she is completely covered up from neck to, like, mid-thigh. Like, I don't even consider it to be that erotic of a photo. I don't know, maybe I've just spent too long in the kink community and I'm seeing it with different eyes than other people would. But I didn't, on its face, I did not consider the content of the album cover to really be that controversial. But I could see how, in the context of, oh my gosh, we're going through a time period where socially women's rights are being, taken back, and, Roe v. Wade, and, people are very concerned about, women's rights and, the popularity of trad wifery, and the fact that there's a lot of people in power who kind of want women to just, like, stay at home and not have access to birth control and not be able to have their own bank accounts and blah, blah, blah. But I don't think that Sabrina Carpenter is responsible for, like, Republicans being in office. So I do think it's kind of like there's room for healthy critique of, like, this image is not for me. I think it's maybe promoting things that I don't think are great. I don't really feel like it's doing that, but I could see how other people might see it that way. And then there's, like, the fact that it takes 0.5 seconds to go from, I don't know if I like this cover, to Sabrina Carpenter is a whore. Like, it takes no time at all to get from point A to point B in the discourse. And also the fact that we're personally blaming Sabrina in this. Like, people aren't talking about the album designers, the artist, the photographer. I don't think I've ever seen anyone mention the photographer, her stylist, anyone else that was in any other part of his decision-making or brainstorming process. Also the allegations that it's a reference to Lolita, which it's not. People apparently think everyone's seen the same shitty movie from the 1970s or whenever one of the versions of Lolita came out that people think this is referencing. So people will be like, oh my gosh, disgusting, because it's making references to Lolita, when, like, almost all of the images that people are comparing it to in other photo shoots that she's done are actually, like, more closely resemble other movies from the 40s, 50s, and 60s that, based on her style, she would actually be referencing, as opposed to Lolita, especially stuff with Marilyn Monroe, for example. So I think that, like, it's like we're trying to have discourse about what good feminism looks like and how to be a good advocate, but then, like, the discourse becomes very quickly, let's slut shame a woman and only blame her as though she's the sole creative behind any of this, and, like, make it her personal problem that this thing exists in the world. And also, I'm pretty sure that's what she wants to have happen. Like, she did this shit on purpose. Like, this is not a oopsie doopsie, poor stupid woman fell into making a controversial album cover because she's so brainwashed by the patriarchy that she doesn't realize that having her hair held by a man on an album cover would cause outrage. Like, this is a very calculated label move to make the album look this way. It did exactly what it was supposed to do, and like, this is what they wanted to have happen. This is how they wanted this to go. Congratulations, you played yourself. Like, what else did you think was going to happen here? Oh no, are we doing the Sabrina Carpenter discourse? Very briefly. I think that's more or less my my thoughts on this. For once, I'm glad I'm too disabled to keep up with whatever all this is. Yeah, it's very silly. Essentially, pop star made controversial album cover. People quickly go from making legitimate critiques over maybe this isn't a good idea to promote what's in this image in the current political climate to let's call the woman in the image a whore for having her hair pulled by a man on an album cover. Like, Sabrina Carpenter is neither responsible for being the vanguard of feminism, nor is she the responsible for the fall of feminism and women's rights. I think it's convenient to have a target to be like, ooh, you're doing a bad thing, so fix it, because, you know, we have something we can point at that maybe we feel like we have power and influence over. But obviously, it's barely a drop in the bucket. And I think, my personal analysis, that I think it's possible. The main thing, number one thing that it's attempting to be as controversial for the sake of garnering views and attention before the launch of a new album, obviously, that's going to be number one. Number two, as I think based on the alternate covers and the songs that she's released from the album so far, I think it's probably more likely attempting to be a commentary on how women are viewed by men versus promoting that image in a positive way, as though this is like an aspirational thing. But I don't know what her intentions were. I think it's likely supposed to be ambiguous for the sake of garnering the kind of attention that it did. Which, again, it worked. That was what they wanted it to do. But, yeah. I think it's a history arm situation. She's trying to be 2020's Madonna. I mean, I think there's a big part of that, too. I mean, it is not even just Madonna, but there's been plenty of pop stars over the years that have used controversial imagery to promote their album cycles. I think she's probably closer to wanting to replicate Madonna specifically than maybe some other artists that have done similar things over the years, but this is by no means something that she's just inventing this one time out of nowhere for no reason because she likes to be domestically abused by men and is trying to get other women to feel the same way about it or whatever. If people are going to dunk on Sabrina, why not dunk on, like, every male gangster rapper for being misogynist? I mean, I would say the argument there would be a lot of the people who are hating on Sabrina Carpenter specifically for, like, deeply political feminist reasons probably also don't like rappers and probably also don't like a lot of other, like, overly sexual, like, pop starlets. But then also it's sort of like part of the issue with juggling this is, like, restricting women's sexuality is, like, also kind of the thing that the current conservative political climate wants to do. Like, they're not, like, it's confusing because there's an element of the conservative political climate where they want women to be pure angel virgins until they get married, and then they're only supposed to do stuff in their bedroom with their husbands for procreation, and that's like the good godly thing. But obviously a lot of men who feel that way and believe that's what's right about society also hypersexualize women all the time and want sort of the hypersexuality of womanhood to be visible for them and accessible to them at all times on demand. And there's reasons for why that's the case. But if we're restricting women's expression of their inherent sexuality, regardless of whether or not it's connected to a man, like, is that a positive thing? Are we just sort of doing what the conservative people want us to do, which is shame a woman for having an independent sexuality? I don't know what the answers are, and I think there's people who are going to have a problem with it kind of no matter what. And I do, like, I do wonder if maybe they had chosen a different model or maybe a different pose or something, if it would have turned out differently. But then it wouldn't have garnered the controversy, and then, well, we wouldn't be where we are. I think the Bendita, while I was rambling about that, she moved to my bedroom, I think. So she's no longer in a viewable radius. I'm sorry to say the pet camera will be turned off temporarily while she is gone. Yeah, like, I don't think Andrew Tate fans are really into Sabrina Carpenter. I mean, that's a whole thing, too, is, like, there's sort of the, oh, she's doing something that's, like, maybe promoting bad imagery to, like, young women, and then there's like she's doing it for like the male gaze, and it's like I don't know any straight men who listen to Sabrina Carpenter. Like if you look at Sabrina Carpenter concerts, is there a straight man there who's not like there to hold his wife's purse? Like I don't know. Like I don't think male fans are buying Sabrina Carpenter albums. I don't think that they're streaming her songs. I mean, they maybe watch her music videos. That's like mostly like if straight men interact with her content, it's like they watch her music videos, but they're not really paying her bills at the end of the day. All right, I think I've talked about this long enough. I'm going to add Carpenter. That's not how you spell that. There we go. Okay, almost got it. There we go. All right, we're saving it. But I do think it's kind of funny that people are like, oh, well, if she had just done it in like a dominant way, then it would have been fine, right? Like if she was like in latex and holding a whip and, you know, whipping a guy or like spanking a guy's bottom or something, that suddenly would be fine. I think it would be better, but there definitely would be a lot of feminists who also don't like femdoms, who also are like, female dominance is for the male gaze, and it's the way that it's acted out is just because of what men expect, and it's just serving men's pleasure. Women don't really do that because they want to do it, blah, blah, blah. All those same arguments over again. I'm saying, like, I don't think the album cover will radicalize girls into red pill women. Oh, yeah, that too. Yeah, obviously. As an adjunct point. Like, I mean, is it... I don't think anyone really thinks it's going to be that direct. Maybe somebody does, but I don't think that's... The argument is that it's a drop in the bucket of normalizing misogynistic violence against women in pop culture, and so therefore we should be very careful to not show any of it, because the more of it that's out there, the more normalized it gets overall. So anything that we can take away from that total pool is beneficial, is I think the argument there. But I don't, again, I think we're sort of looking in the wrong direction for that. I think the problem is with the idea that the patriarchy is a single unified ideological front with a single coherent set of demands against which the choices of any individual woman can be measured. I mean, I think that's a good argument, because, yeah, the people, the Andrew Tates of the world and the anti-abortion activists, women shouldn't be allowed to go to college, women need to be godly and covered at all times and stay at home and only ever have sex with one man who's their husband. Like, Andrew Tate kind of cosplays as that sometimes to get money from them and to get attention from them, but he doesn't really believe any of that, right? There's two sort of like, you know, as much as there are two of anything, there to the two main categories of misogynist stuff is generally, you know, dude who thinks women should be hypersexual and available at all times, and that women are, you know, and, you know, they control access to sex, and so you have to like beat them at their own game. And then the men who think that women need to be pure and virginal and, you know, kept outside of public view and, you know, any of that other stuff, and just, you know, be used to make babies, and that's it. So yeah, it's not great. It's not great. We all shift the grift. That's a good little pull line there. Shift the grift. That is what they do. They're like, ooh, what can I do to get more views? What can I do to get more people to agree with my opinions? And that's what he did when he like converted to Islam. He was like getting attention from people that were super happy about that. I don't think that was an honest conversion, because he believes in that particular version of monotheism. That's very doubtful. Half the tribe of influencers dropped that window dressing and now post generic red pill or some type of thirst trap content. I mean, yeah, I mean, a lot of them were doing it in a way where it was clearly meant to be sexually arousing anyways, of like, ooh, look at me bend over in front of my oven to like get the roast chicken dinner out that I made for my husband. Like, it was very thinly veiled to begin with, but I kind of enjoy the fact that they've dropped the pretense, because then maybe it makes it more likely that you know, younger conservative Christian women are maybe less likely to fall for that content if it's, you know, speaking of the male gaze, right? I think there's, you know, there's trad wife content that I think is meant for women that's by women, and there's trad wife content that's like, oh, this is a barely disguised fetish. This is somebody with a kink, and they probably have a hidden adult content website out there somewhere, or maybe they're leading people on to believe that could be possible, that they might make that. Who knows? Who knows, honestly? You take that back. I was 0.4% listeners of Sabrina on YouTube. He's like, okay, well, I stand corrected then. I stand corrected. All right. I'm getting to some more questions. I think that's probably about it for my Sabrina Carpenter thoughts for now, but I reserve the right to revisit it if people have interesting thoughts or things that they want to add on to it. Did they salt your feet afterwards? Oh, was pineapple the safe word? Oh, good, yeah. Okay, somebody else, the enzyme bromelain would digest your wound. Oh, yeah. No, that maybe would not be the best. I know I'm not a sadist because I never on the spot think of pineapple juice on an open wound. I mean, I have a gift, and that gift is coming up. Like, I honestly think I would not be as good of a content creator if I wasn't also a sadist. Like, if I was just a bottom and only a masochist, I think I'd have a lot more difficulty coming up with ideas for things to put into videos to suggest to people to do. Because if I only had access to masochism, I could understand the motivation for doing certain things, but it would be a lot harder to come up with scene designs, and then also, like, as a sadist, why that would be like a fun thing, or tools that you could use and grab, which I think as a masochist, I think there are masochists who are very creative in terms of like what types of things might cause them pain, but I feel like it's more the gift of a sadist to be like, what is this random object or activity or idea or concept, and how can we make that a painful experience? I think is more the tendency on that one. We went from brat summer to puppy girl summer. Yeah, I mean, they are closely related. Yeah, it was hot girl summer, it's brat summer, and now it's puppy girl summer. And I think that's a great lineup. We've had a really great run of it. I think it's fantastic. I think femininity used to be more strongly associated with cats. It definitely was, you know, the big fluffy white Persian prissy cat. And now it's more, I don't think it's like, you know, I think dogs are still manly, but I think there's more people who are like, oh, I think is great. To be clear, I'm very happy about Puppy Girl Summer. As a puppy girl who has been a puppy girl for a long time, I remember, and I have the histories. I have not forgotten the ancient texts. I remember being on Tumblr and on Instagram and being like the only cis woman who was a puppy girl. There were bunnies, there were kittens, there were wolves, there were foxes, but there were no puppies. Online, I was like the one, and then slowly more started popping up, and then it was always like 10%. It was always, we were right there. The puppy girls are right with like the fox girls and the bunny girls. Like, we were all just, and then the associated combination of like bat, hyena, you know, raccoon, whatever, you know, all the kind of very niche ones were in there too. But puppy girl was always very underrepresented. It was hard to find gear for. It was not widely spoken about. Like, people assumed if puppy play was just strictly a gay men's thing, and then for whatever reason it just popped on out one day, and it's like, you know what, women can be puppies. And then suddenly everyone got on board with that, and it was great, because then it made it a lot easier for me to find cute stuff that was puppy related and not kitten related, that I had to turn into puppy stuff and then tell people that I wasn't a kitten. And like, I still get confused for a kitten, like in the public scene stuff occasionally, but it is less common because I think people are more used to seeing women and femme people play as different pets now. That's really fun. I mean, even when I was like relatively new in the scene, I knew people in real life who were women who played as puppies, but online and like representation in social media, it was a lot more rare at that point. And now I think it's a lot more across the spectrum. People are just open to that. And I don't know if I've like, I don't like in the domino. The fan. I forgot. Oh, I know I was forgetting to do something before I set up the stream. I gotta get the fan. All right, BRB. I gotta go make sure my camera doesn't explode. All right. All right, I'm gonna see you guys. You guys can hear me. I'm a disembodied head for the moment. One like equal one prayer for my camera. One heart equal one prayer for my camera. All right, should be back. There we go. All right, I knew I was forgetting something when I was setting up. I was like, I have everything, but I moved my fan to my bedroom because I needed it to sleep last night because it was just hot enough when I was going to bed that I was like, need the fan on me. All right, so puppy girl summer, the rise of the puppy girls. I'm excited about it. I'm living, I'm loving. I'm laughing about it even. It's great as long as they're cute trends. Yeah, trends are great as long as they're cute. I'm very pro that for sure. We now need more pony girls again. Listen, pony girl summer 2027. I'm calling it Pony Girl Summer 2027. I don't know what 2026 is going to be. Not ready on that one yet. But I think we're gonna get a gap year with something else in there that it's gonna be for the pony girls. I'm excited. I love the ponies. The ponies are great. Actually, I recently met somebody who had a really nice like unicorn pony hood at Self. It was so beautiful. It had really beautiful like tooling, like leather tooling around the outside. It was great. It was fantastic. And I like the thing I have struggled with is finding a pet hood that accurately can look like a Pomeranian. And I feel like that's just not possible. Maybe with like the dimensions of a human face, because they have such tiny little noses. And like, maybe they just can't do it. So I think actually what I'm maybe planning on doing is doing like some kind of like 3D printed like half face mask. And instead of having it trying to be like a full face mask, having it be like a black like bone skeleton, like kind of like gothy thing. Although I think that might be read as like a cat still. I just take that risk with things in my life in general, being read as a cat. But that might be closer because I love the look of like I've seen some people wear them where they have like I've seen like foxes, I think, and a couple of other animals, but I don't think I've seen a dog one that's like a 3D half mask, where it has the mouth is open, but then like the eyes and like the jaw area is an animal. Incoming for my brother's wedding in San Francisco. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Psycho Salad. Hopefully you're having fun at the wedding. I've not been to too many weddings in my life, but I know that they can either be really fun or really stressful and probably full of drunk people either way. So hopefully it's going well. Hopefully the weather's been nice for the wedding, especially if it's outside. And congratulations to your brother. Hopefully it's a good match. I don't know. Some people have strong opinions about their siblings getting married and are like, they should not be getting married. They're a terrible match. And sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, so happy for them. They're great. I'm very fortunate in that in my family, generally, it's been good matches. I don't want to say everyone because I don't know who I'm not close enough with like my cousins and second cousins to know who they're married to necessarily, but I think they're mostly okay. I've briefly met one fox girl IRL, but never a wolf girl. Wolf girl. Have I met a wolf? I've not met a... no, that's not true. I've met people who identify as wolves. I don't think I've met a cishet girl who identifies as a wolf. It's either bisexual, cis, or non-binary. Like there's... I haven't met... Have I met in real life met a trans woman who identifies as a wolf? I probably met people and just didn't know that's how they identify because we were in like a pet play mode at the time. But it's there's some reason, I don't know why, the wolves, like, if I have to make like a scale of like what gender is most common for which identities, wolves and foxes are like very solidly non-binary. I don't know any cis person who identifies as a fox. It just does not happen. AMAP, AFAB, doesn't matter. It's all they pronouns in the fox space. Cis women, I think, are still mostly kittens, probably. Lots of ponies. Ponies also feel like more agender people. Don't know. That's where the agender people. It's the agender people I know. Ponies. Don't know. That's just a thing that happens, I guess. It's very interesting. And then puppies. Lots of gay men. I think probably more cis, but not straight. I could make a whole chart for this. I don't know if that would be useful at all, because I wouldn't want people to feel like they can't identify as a certain thing because it's not as common for a person like them to identify a certain way. But I think part of the beauty of pet play is you can have it be basically anything you want it to be, and I think that's really sweet. I'm upgrading officially from apartment wife to true housewife. Ooh, congratulations, that's so exciting. You got approved for a loan. Okay, have you actually gone house hunting yet? Have you looked? Because that's a whole other can of worms. I hope that goes well. I know, especially if you're looking in the summer, it can be competitive, but I'll be wishing you luck. Oh, yeah, getting a part-time job to pay for the moving expenses. Yeah. No, that makes sense. I think that's very prudent. Gotta have extra to pay for the movers and the boxes and all the little bits and bobs that go into moving into a new house, because definitely home ownership. You might have to buy a lawnmower. That's expensive. Maybe a little, get one of those little like cute like 1950s like push mowers. Get one of those. I don't know how effective those are. I actually don't know if you'd have a lawn. I'm assuming they don't do xeriscaping where you live. But that's so exciting. Congratulations. People are having fun, exciting things happen. I'm going to a camping event next week. I should say that, actually. So next week on Friday, I will be at a camping event. And it's going to be my birthday. My birthday's July 5th, by the way. I will not be streaming on YouTube. I might do a stream on Thursday instead, because I feel like I've just, with traveling and stuff, I've been gone too much and I like miss streaming and I want to like be around. So I might do something on the 3rd. So keep your eyes peeled for that. I might decide to do something on Thursday, maybe just like an hour stream. But I will not be streaming on Friday because I will be traveling to go to the campsite on that part of the day. So I guess maybe I'm gonna have time early in like the morning, but I don't want to. I'm going to be packing. I got to figure out what to do with my dog. There's going to be a whole thing. So I'm going to not promise to do anything on that Friday. But Thursday, maybe. Just so you know, you've now been warned. Oh, right. You're moving into your mom's house. Right. Oh, I forgot about that. I'm so sorry. That makes it easy. That makes it a lot easier than having to house hunt for sure. But congratulations. That's so exciting. You get to do all of your full housewifey duties, and that'll be very exciting, I'm sure. Happy B-Day. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm determined. I have had some very boring to shitty birthdays for the last, like, basically since the pandemic. I've not had, like, a good birthday in, like, 4 or 5 years. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I've done a lot of solo stuff that's been, like, interesting, but I haven't done a lot that's been, like, this is a really good birthday. And this year, I'm gonna hopefully have a really good birthday. I've been told that one of the gifts I'm getting is gonna be really nice, and they're really excited about giving it to me, so I'm excited about that. Although I am one of those people where I'm like, I don't need the physical gift, I just need to like spend time with you. I am a quality time person. Gifts are nice, but if in rank order of what somebody could do for me for a birthday, if they get me a gift and nothing else, I'm like, okay, you bought me something, that's nice. I would like rank order quality time, a really sappy card. And honestly, I'm saying this because I need other people to think about this for their partners, especially if you're somebody who doesn't have a lot of disposable income, or you're like insecure about not being able to provide financially like big gifts or trips, or like even just camping stuff with your partner. Like if you can't afford camping gear and you can't take them somewhere like nice just in the woods, like a really nice, very heartfelt card, a handwritten one if you can do it. I know everyone has nice handwriting, but honestly, I don't date people who have nice handwriting. I don't like that. Just doesn't. They all look at their writing, and they're like 11 years old, and it's adorable, and I love it. Is there a thing with ADHD and handwriting because that might explain it. Is it like, I can't have patience to take my time writing, so I scribble and I get close enough? Is that it? Is that the correlation there? I think I might have stumbled onto something with that. That might be it. So even if it's like, you don't have to have beautiful handwriting, but if it's your handwriting and you're writing them a card and it's heartfelt, has a little poem in it, it has maybe like a little sweet, like remembering something you did together or hopes for your future, whatever, I think that's really beautiful. I think it's lovely. I have done that before where I've just like, especially when I was younger and I didn't have like disposable income to like buy people nice gifts, I would write them like very elaborate cards, and I've like brought people to tears that way before. And, you know, not to brag or anything, but I'm just saying it can be just as, if not more impactful than a purchased gift if that's not something that you can do. So, oh God, maybe it is. That would make so much sense. Yeah. If you're little, buy a cursive workbook so you can write a good note. Oh, that's so sweet. I've actually meant to put that in the next time I make a video talking about little stuff, because I saw that, because I was actually thinking for myself, because I was like, maybe I want to like learn how to do like cursive again, because I know I remember enough of it, but it's like not all there still, and I'm like, maybe should just like pick that back up again. But I was looking and I was thinking about it, and I'm like, this is perfect for a little or a middle, because you usually learn cursive a little bit older, depending, I guess, on where you live. Certain school districts I was in, people learn cursive in like 3rd grade or like 5th, and you know, I don't even know if they teach it at all now. They probably don't. They're probably like, kids need to learn how to code. They don't need to learn how to write cursive. That's probably what they think. Kids need to learn Python, not cursive. They need to learn Java. The children yearn to learn Java. That's what we're gonna make the kids learn, Java. That's how to get every child to not want to be a computer scientist. How to make it so no child ever wants to have a comp sci degree ever again. Make them learn Java. I crack myself up. I mean, I've been told I have beautiful handwriting, so I don't know about that. I mean, yeah. Shows bad handwriting, shows intelligence. Oh, maybe. I mean, called out. Also adding data point, my handwriting is terrible. I have pretty good handwriting. I used to have, like, psycho handwriting, like psychotically perfect handwriting. Like, I actually had to be given extra time on written tests because I would spend so long physically writing the letters. I knew what I was going to say. It just took me too long to get the letters onto the page because I had to make them so perfect that it would take me twice as long to write everything. And then I went to college, and then suddenly you can't do that anymore. Actually, even at the end of high school too, like junior, senior year, it started. But especially when I hit the ground running in college, when there were classes when I wasn't allowed to have a laptop, and I just had to like speed write for like 2 straight hours because this professor is not slowing down, and they already have 3 graphs on the board. You just gotta get going. So that took I have less psychopathic handwriting. I have like pretty normal handwriting. I think it's better than average. I would say it's pretty readable. But yeah, I used to have oh God, my most embarrassing moment in school I've probably ever had is we had this one, she was actually kind of a badass. We had this one really, really strict teacher in middle school. I think maybe it was 7th grade. And if she were currently teaching, she would be called woke. But she was she wasn't a Karen, and she wasn't like a pushover. She was hard as nails, like language arts and social sciences teacher, wanted to teach us the truth about the Civil War. She was like, I'm going to tell you, I've been to every historical landmark across the entire country about the Civil War, and I'm going to give you the 411 and what that shit was really like. She was tough as nails, gave us the real story, made us watch Roots, and she was very, very strict on grading, especially for projects. And one time in her class, we did she also was a cancer survivor. She was a teacher, had breast cancer, left to recover from breast cancer, came back again to teach again after having breast cancer. And then I think that made her even like more tough. She wasn't like a mean teacher. She was just very strict and had high expectations. So she didn't like yell at kids. She didn't like physically punish kids. She didn't do that. But she had a high bar because she just expected that we could reach it, essentially. So one time in class we were doing a written assignment. I think it was a test, and there was like paragraph answer sections on this where you had to like longhand write out paragraph answers to these questions. And I remember that she took them all back, right? It was like a Friday or something, came back, graded them. And then after she was done grading them, she held up my paper as an example to be like, this is the best handwriting I've ever seen. You all should write more like this in your exams. And I was like, no, don't do this to me. Because I am and was a very shy child who did not have very many friends, and I did not need to be made an example of by the teacher. Did not need that at all. And I was mortified, and I technically lived, but in that moment I did want to die. So yeah. Evie, do cursive again? Okay, I'll put a vote in the cursive column. My dad tried to get me into C# as a kid. I did get into programming, but it was only after I dropped that and tried to figure out how computers actually did stuff as a baseline. I mean, I think that's a better way to do it. Most people I know that like ended up doing computer science as a job, and like it's because they enjoyed it. It's because they enjoyed working on computers. They liked figuring out how they worked. The people I know who are like, I'm gonna get a computer science degree because then I'll make a lot of money. Every single one of them that decided to get a computer science degree for money, do you guess what they're doing? Not computer science. They could not pass the classes. They washed out. They just were like, nope, can't do it. They'd get to like the 300 level and just could not get past it. It is not that easy for people. Due to ChatGPT, college students are bringing back blue book handwritten exams. I've heard that secondary school teachers are doing the same. I had those when I was in school. Still, I had my philosophy classes were blue book exams. I had a couple of other usually, yeah, I actually had most of my classes had blue book exams for like the writing portion. So I'm glad to hear that they're bringing them back, because yeah, just doing a turn it in essay. I did have a couple that were like, turn in a remotely handed in essay, but usually I also had you hand in like physical copies too. You had to print out, but this was before ChatGPT. I just can't even with that. I think that's like, this is my bugbear about people using ChatGPT to write essays. Is I get that when you're a student, you think about them as annoying busy work, and a lot of people have insecurities where they don't know how to write a good paper. They maybe haven't ever been taught by somebody how to write a good paper, and instead of like spending a couple hours hashing it out in usually, I mean, I think most colleges have this if they're half decent, but at least my college had like a writing lounge area where you could come in, and then usually like TAs and volunteer grad students who were in the English department would come in and they'd work on your essay with you. They'd give you feedback on, are you doing your citations correctly? Is this formatted well? Are you making strong arguments? Are you, all that kind of stuff. And, people just don't want to do that, I guess. So instead, they just like copy and paste. But the thing is that essays are not just busy work. Essays are not meant to be like an end of term essay is meant to be an evaluation of your knowledge up to that point. But especially when you're writing them as homework assignments, they're meant to be a learning tool, because the process of having to logically put together an argument and structure things together in that way and research things, like that's supposed to help your brain retain knowledge. That's why you're doing it, is because when you have to think about what you're doing and put it on paper, like that is helping you learn and putting things together in your brain versus just passively absorbing it in a lecture or just passively reading it in a book. Like putting those things all together in an essay is supposed to like help it stick in your brain more. So if all you're doing is copying and pasting, you're cheating yourself. College is fucking expensive. Why are you doing that? Like, I get with undergrad classes where it's your first year or two and you're doing a lot of like general prerequisites. Maybe you just want to like skip through it because you don't give a shit. But your only thing you're doing is you're cheating yourself out of a degree that you're paying a lot of money for. And I feel like that's not great. Oh, thank you, Gypsy Mouse. Welcome. Thank you for becoming a Lupineer. Anyways, my husband has a comp sci degree, but also he went for that because he was good as hell at it and not just easy money. Yeah, I think if you're ever going to try to do anything because you think it's easy money, you're almost always going to be disappointed by that, because like people are like, oh, let me become a lawyer because I can make a lot of money if I become a lawyer. Well, get back to me after you had to pay for a JD and then you realize that there's about like 100,000 million other people that also have brand new JDs, and unless your like father owns a law firm, good fucking luck. Or sorry, excuse me, just spit water out because I was like too excited about saying something. No, what I was gonna say, what was I gonna say? Oh, the other option is you sell your soul to work in corporate law and you work for like Google or something, which I don't, maybe if all you care about is money, you're fine with that. Doing patent law for Google so they can sue people and absorb their companies or do whatever it is they do over there. I'm a Catholic school kid, so writing papers is pretty much ingrained into me from middle school. Oh, is that true about Catholic school? Do they got a big to do about writing papers? That's their preferred grading method. I mean, I guess maybe if that's, maybe if it's like nuns teaching, maybe they don't have the same educational background as maybe a public school teacher. Maybe they don't do as diverse examinations as other people. What would you say are the less obvious musts for a good, safe blood play scene, I presume? Obviously, recent testing, sterile instruments, tarp, bandages, brainstorming for a scene in the fall, and doing early prep. Oh, good point. So tarp, I don't know if you mean like chucks by that, like disposable chucks for sure. I think somebody probably already said it, but electrolytes. Oh, that's what I saw. I saw this part first and I was like, what is this in response to? I saw electrolyte drinks and rubbing alcohol and I was like, are like mixed together in a beverage? Like what? I was so confused by that combination. I was like, what's going on there? I think as far as scene prep ahead of time, I treat it like you're about to have a big soccer game and you're like 10 years old. All right. Like a carby, high protein meal the night before. Don't eat to over fullness the morning of, assuming you're doing it kind of like later in the evening. Make sure you have good like blood sugar stuff. Don't have don't have a cinnamon roll and Fruit Loops and chocolate milk for breakfast the morning of. If you're not a vegan, have, some scrambled eggs, have some toast. Have a sausage patty or Canadian bacon or whatever. Have something that's going to give you some sustainable energy longer term throughout the day. Don't sugar bomb yourself right before the scene. Staying hydrated, really important. Electrolytes can help with that. But just drinking, I would even say for like ideally 3 to 4 days beforehand. If you're not a religious water drinker, if you're somebody that like you maybe drink a glass of water or 2 a day and mostly you drink like coffee and Diet Coke, you should focus on like getting a lot of water in. Like I would say minimum would be like the size of water bottle I have. I would hit for like 64, maybe 80 ounces for like 3 to 4 days ahead of time, just to make sure you have like good blood volume before you go into the scene. And you're not like, I think if you're trying to slam water just the day of, you're just going to pee a lot, but maybe it's not really going to help in as much as it could if you were preparing for longer ahead of time. As far as materials go for the scene itself, rubbing alcohol can be good. I definitely having like Cavicide wipes. HIPAA is good for like it's a surgical prep soap, so like rubbing yourself down with that and having like your shower. It has a really, really long acting time range of how actively it's antimicrobial for. So you could shower like a couple hours before the scene and rinse off with HIPAA and it'll help keep the surface of the skin clean. So if you accidentally like miss an area with your prep pads, it's not the complete end of the world. So I like using that. I also like using it in general for any time, like if you're doing impact play and you break the skin by accident. Like it's good just to have it on as like part of your, like if I'm doing a scene where I might potentially break skin, even if I'm not planning on it, I'll use HIPAA beforehand just to kind of like cover my bases just to make sure I'm being totally safe. Cause it's good for that. And Tengaderm or something similar. So a bandage where you get a clear window in to see the wound healing, I think is important. Standard bandages are great, but it's something that gives you a clear window into seeing how the healing process is going, can help you monitor for infection a little bit better. But it depends on what kind of like blood play you're doing. If you're doing needle play, if you're using small needles, you might not need that. Or if using a really, really sharp scalpel and doing like one cut, maybe you don't need that. But if you're doing something decorative or a bigger piece or going over a larger area, having something like a tegaderm, I think it probably goes by other names. I don't know what the general term for that thing is. Tegaderm. It's made by 3M. I think you can probably buy it on Amazon. I don't know. It's a transparent dressing, I guess is maybe the general term for a tegaderm. But see, anything else that would be unusual? So something that I really like... Here, I'll grab it because I have it in my bag. Something that I really like that is just a nice thing to use is this is... They make a bunch of different brands make this, but this is the Bryotech skin spray, and it is as... Oh, will it actually focus? Oh, it will. Look at that. You can read it. It's hypochlorous acid, which is HOCl, as you can see. And they make this in slightly different concentrations for different purposes. But this is great because you can use this anywhere on the body. You can use it on the skin beforehand. You can use it afterwards. You can use it on open wounds, which like HIPAA cleanse, you're not really supposed to use it on open wounds. It doesn't sting. And it's just a good way of flushing out wounds and helping to keep them moist during the healing process, because wet healing is generally better than dry healing. And to just, make sure no debris and stuff is getting out. So this is good for like flushing stuff before you apply dressing. That is nicer than using a hospital grade wipe or something with alcohol in it. If you want to be nice. If you want to be mean, don't use this because this is nice. But I use this if I'm doing like self-play. I'll use this and it works pretty well. So there you go. The way that this works, you can look this up if you want to like learn how it works. But essentially, HOCl is what's produced. I believe it's produced by your body's white blood cells. And so this has a similar effect at fighting off infection as like a white blood cell response to wound healing. It's also really good for acne. It's also really good for other little cuts, bumps, scrapes, bruises, bug bites, eczema. It is the Windex. It is the Windex. Like in my big fat Greek wedding where they're like, Windex solves everything. This is kind of, because you can use it in your mouth as well. They make a mouthwash solution out of the same stuff. You can spray it in your eyes. I think you might be able to do nasal irrigation with it as well. I'm not confident about that. But it's nice because you can use it a lot of different places that you normally wouldn't use other things. So if you're doing like face needles and shit, this might be a good option. Anyways, those would probably be my hot tips. Make sure you have a good sharps container. Make sure you know where it's going to go afterwards. I think people overlook that step. They're like, great, I did all of my blood play, and where does it go? If you're at a big event and they have a blood play area, maybe you don't need to worry about that part. But if you're solo playing or if you're playing in private, having a sharps container, knowing where the sharps are going to be disposed of, don't just throw needles directly in the trash or scalpels directly in the trash. Please, dear God, figure out where they're supposed to go. But yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I would think about. If you're doing anything, maybe look at stencils. Either you can use them for needles or for scalpels. I think those are fun to do if you haven't done it. Either looking at or designing your own stencil can be a lot of fun, and it can make it a lot more personal. Yes, Tegaderm. Yeah. 3M makes some. There's probably off-brand stuff you can get from Amazon as well, but 3M is the hypochlorous acid is a must. Okay, so other people know about this. Good. It's not just me. But yeah, if you're very sensitive to like skin burning stuff, and a lot of people like, people can develop irritation responses to all kinds of things. Some people don't like, the idea of using really, really harsh chemicals. So if you don't like that, maybe use this instead. Obviously, I don't think this is going to protect you as much as like HIPAA cleanse will, but it's your risk profile. Evaluate as you wish. Yes, 3M makes everything. I don't really associate them with medical supplies too much, but I guess they probably do also make that. So, and you can get, this is actually really cheap as well. I get this on Amazon. I get big refill bottles for this that are like 48 ounces or something. I get for like $20. if I use needles, I'll wind up putting them in my sharps container, since I'll probably just use the ones for injecting my estrogen. Oh, fair. Yeah, if you already have a sharps container for your estrogen injections, you're good. Yeah, just needles will be fine in there. Yeah. A lot of people they don't think about it. There are other ways of sort of intermediately handling things that aren't like a proper, like, bright red, orange sharps container. But, it's better to be prepared for that than not know where they're supposed to go and be like, oh, fuck. Where am I supposed to go with this now? I've also seen, and maybe this is just, I'll pass this on as like knowledge I've heard recently that makes sense, but I don't know if many people have heard this yet. A lot of people will, if they want to do something decorative with needles, they will cap the needles with cork. And you can maybe even see if I'm bringing this up as like maybe something you shouldn't do. You can maybe already guess why this is a bad idea. So 1, cork, not sterile. 2, cork. If you put the needle under, it's come back out, you're popping the end with a cork because you maybe want to do a needle corset or something on somebody, and you want them to be able to walk around and be pretty and not poke other people. That's fine. Good. Not wanting to poke people. Perfect. However, it's very easy to let little teeny itsy bitsy teeny weeny, even technically invisible to the naked eye, amounts of cork pass after the needle has been moved in through the skin again, through the wound, and then out again. And it's probably not great to leave itsy teeny weeny itsy bitsy little pieces of cork inside somebody's skin. Or around an open wound, even, if you don't notice it's there. Plus, it's obviously not a guarantee that somebody's going to, not, stick somebody else. Like, a cork can fall off. So instead of that, some people they'll re-bury the end of the needle after they've gone, you go down to the skin, through the skin, up again, and then they'll just kind of, bury the tip in skin again. Or they will just not re-emerge the needle after the first point of insertion. Because obviously each time you poke a needle, it's not meant to poke through skin multiple times in a row, generally speaking. So after the first couple times you poke somebody with the same needle end, it gets pretty dull. So by the time you go in, out, and then in again, that last in can be a little uncomfortable because the needle can be much duller than it was from the first time poked out. But yeah, miles to vary. I've had needles. I think it might be a brand thing. I had a recent brand of needles I bought that were branded specifically for body modification. Not body modification, but I forget what the name of the company was, but it had kind of tribal arts. It was meant to be oh, you're using these for play. And I felt like they were much duller than the medical, the medical needles I bought. And I don't know if that was just, they were also, I think, they were a lot shorter as well. It was odd. So I don't know if that was a brand thing or a batch or what. I don't know enough to say about, if that's, I haven't used enough other ones from that same brand to be able to compare. But I feel like that makes a difference too, because when the needles are dull, it's a lot more of a dragging. And then that's maybe you like that pain. I don't like that pain. Other people, maybe. Yeah, the stitch ones are aesthetic but painful. I really like the cross-stitching over 2 single intersections ones. Oh, single insertion ones. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Mm-hmm. Anyways, I think that's probably enough on that. I know some people are not blood fans, and I don't generally talk about that in my live streams too much, but I like helping people get little odds and ends to prep stuff. Honestly, I think this should probably be in most people's play bags. I think this is a great thing for if you get really sweaty after a scene, if it just there's a facial facial mist to refresh yourself after a scene without it being smelly, doesn't have any essential oils in it. Or if you do accidentally get a cut or a scrape or something pokes in an uncomfortable way, I think this is just good. I think this is going to be, I want to make this a personal mission of mine to have this in more people's toy bags. It's a good little multi-purpose thing to have in the first aid kit or just in the go bag for if something, you get a little, a scrape or a rope burn or something in an uncomfortable spot. Ooh, sour Mike's and Ike's sound good. I don't like regular Mike's and Ike's, but I like sour gummy candy, so yeah. I don't know why we're talking about curries, but I usually have dolls, I guess. I don't really have a lot of I have a lot of curries. I don't have enough experience to say. I've had curry sometimes, but I don't remember any of the names. Oh, I haven't actually. I have a class recording I haven't watched yet that I was going to watch over the weekend. I signed up for a class on blood consumption that they did through Reign of Pain / Reign of Blood / Let Them Reign. Couple, same organization, goes by different names, kind of in different places and depending on what they're organizing. But they did a class on blood consumption that I was really excited about watching, because that's an area that I've wanted to know more about. I learned very, very briefly. There was a blood play class I took, God, 7 years ago, probably at this point, where they briefly talked about venipuncture and blood drawing and blood consumption, but it was very much this is not a full instructional thing. This is a side kind of thing that you can learn more about if you want to. And it's like you get a lot of blood play, like 101, needleplay 101, how to hold a scalpel correctly kind of level classes at conventions, but it's not as common for them to be like, all right, 401 level, here's the safety stuff you should know if you want to drink your partner's blood and do venipuncture. But, I'm excited about that. It's going to be a little treat for myself this weekend is watching that, because it's definitely an area that I want to learn more about. But, it's a good substitute. Pomegranates. That would be fun to play around with. That's part of my camping plans. I have notified my buddy about the additional items you mentioned. I hadn't thought of Evie, so thank you. Got a few months to prepare. Yeah, don't worry, you totally got it. If you haven't, check out Reign. I'll put their name in the chat. So Reign of Blood. They're great. They do so many classes on like edge play and blood play stuff. They're great. They have so many educators who work with them. If you're into like edge play, if you're into needle play, blood play, hook pulls, even like breath control, I've seen every different possible kinds of class that you could want to take. I've taken classes through them for like stencil design. I've taken classes through them for blood impact play. I've taken classes on blood consumption and dozens more that I've not taken. But if you want to, whether it's like learning how to design your own stencils all the way over to, I'm not even going to say some of the more extreme stuff, but like, hook pulls, intentional scarification, other things. So it's a good resource. Definitely not for everyone, obviously, but I know that kind of, I'm really glad they're doing it because as I was saying, the education you get at convention level tends to mostly be kind of intermediate beginner level, because conventions generally want to appeal to the broadest audience possible. Most people, unless it's a specialty edge play event, are not necessarily going to come in prepared to take a class. Or it might also be a liability thing too. Like maybe the hotel is not comfortable with you teaching a class on ritual scarification. That could also be a thing there too. Mike and Ike's? I don't know if it's ominous. I don't know. Don't know what that's about. I don't know that it's ominous. Mm-hmm. I feel like there's not too much information out there on chemical play. Do you have any tips or know of any resources on chemical play? I've also tried to look into this because it's also an area that I'm really interested in. I get by chemical play, I'm assuming you don't mean like intoxicating substances, like that kind of chemical play, which I've seen some people mean it that way. But you probably mean like hot sauce, ginger oil, acetic acid, like that kind of thing. What is her name? Orion Verse, I think. I think they either just taught or are teaching a class on chemical play. I saw it on FetLife as a virtual class. So I would look on, I'm going to put the name in the chat again, Forbidden Tickets. They have a lot of online classes on there. And then Wicked Grounds. I would kind of just keep an eye on what they offer and then just see if one pops up. But virtual classes, I'd probably look on there. I can't think of any educator specifically that I know for sure regularly teaches an online class about chemical play that I like, that I've taken. The chemical play classes that I've taken, I've honestly been kind of disappointed by. Like, I've taken them and then I've been like, wow, like that was not the depth of information that I was really hoping to have from this, because chemical play is so vast and I want to know more about that. So I'm still hunting for classes on that myself. So if I find one, I will mention it during a stream, and I'll be like, I'm going to this class. So that way, normally, if I'm going to something and I'm excited about it, I'll try to share it because I know other people want to go to those classes as well and find them. But yeah, it's like generally I've seen a lot about like hot sauce and peppers. I think gets coverage, but anything outside of that, sometimes figging, I guess, which you could consider to be a form of chemical play, figging, but kind of outside those two things, it's a lot harder to find information about, unfortunately. But yeah, I'll keep an eye out. I say that in the sense that, like, I also see people who call, like, knife play edge play. So I wanted to make sure I was being really clear. Because, like, some, like, people also, like, think people use edge play to mean mostly, obviously, edge plays and things that butt up against a psychological edge. But I've also seen some people who will use edge play to mean knife play. And some people who use edge play to mean, like, orgasm edging. And there's enough, like, if I hear one person misuse the term, I'm going to be like, let's make sure we're being very clear here, because sometimes people see something on TikTok or in a Discord group, and maybe that's how they use that term, but it's not everybody. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Marie Kitty donated $19.99. Thank you so much. That is so generous of you. I really appreciate it. Thank you. I don't know if you had a question attached to that or not. I'm going to double check just to make sure, but that is, thank you. Can I check your comment history through that? No, I can't. Okay, I gotta scroll down. I'm gonna scroll down and look. Thank you, that's very sweet. I actually don't know if I see any other comments from you in the chat immediately. So if you have a question, let me know. I'll keep an eye out for it, but thank you. That's very nice. Mm-hmm. Oh, no. I know that you're not conflating the two, but I know that you're saying, like, you know, other people will conflate the two. It does happen. Ooh, 18 today. Ooh, congratulations. Happy birthday, Phoenix. Thanks for waiting until you're 18 to be here. I appreciate that. I'm going to go to a BDSM club as an unowned slave. I will get a 20-stroke welcome caning. Any suggestions how to handle the pain? Never caned before. Talk to your top. Make sure that they understand that you are a new bottom and that you've never been caned before, but that you're excited about it. I would say the best things you can do would be, caning pain is very intense. It's very precise. It is not everybody's cup of tea. It's very stingy. I might recommend starting, maybe doing the first 10 over clothes. Like, you could do it over, like, a thin pair of cotton leggings or jeans. Have it be over something to where you're maybe not getting... Oh, jeans might be too thick. I would maybe start with, like, just, you know, just very, very thin, light clothing and just see how that feels. That way, if you're like, nope, this is not for me, you know, and you can just, like, nope out before it gets more intense. I would start with that, and then after 10, if you feel like you are good to go, you can take off the cotton leggings or whatever it is you're wearing to kind of deaden that blow a little bit, and you can proceed with getting more intensity. I would probably ask, if this was me and I was like doing my first ever scene ever, again, this is me, this is not you, so take of this what you will. I would say, okay, I'm brand new. I would like it if things could just start at like what a 1 is, and then check in with me, and then we can go up the scale gradually, maybe to like a 7 or an 8 by the end of the 20, right? Let me kind of decide where I am comfortable with that. And if a 1 is like absolutely the fuck not, then I know before I've like tormented myself doing something that's incredibly painful, and I've only done something that's like maybe mildly painful or uncomfortable. But that's what I would do. So you can get a sense kind of as you go along. Plus, if you start out lower and you're like, oh, I can handle this, then it gives you confidence to go through the next 5 or 10 or 20 without having to white knuckle, being like, oh my God, it's going to be so painful. I think it gives a bottom confidence if you start out going very light and they're like, oh, I can handle this. I can handle a 1. I can handle a 2. I can handle a 3. And then when you get to the 4 and the 5, you're in a more positive headspace where you're not just like anxiously thinking about how painful it's going to be. You're like, I fucking got this. I don't know, maybe that's not everybody, but I feel like it helps a little bit if you kind of, you know, if you start slowly, if you work your way up, it's not just about getting the body to acclimate, it's also the brain too getting comfortable with the new sensation and being like, I'm not dying right now. Okay, I can handle this. So I would start slowly. I would work your way up in terms of pain intensity. I would also think about like how you're going to receive the caning can also change the sensation and how easily you can pain process. For me, I find it generally easier either if I'm standing up and facing away, or if I'm laying all the way down flat. If I'm bent over something, like if you're doing over the knee, or maybe you're standing and having to kneel over and like touch your toes, if you're doing anything like that where, generally speaking, I recommend doing caning for the first time on the thighs and butt, because that's like the meatiest tissue. I would not do front cane. Like, I would not do front caning as the first BDSM activity. But if you're in a stretched position where you're bent over something, or especially if you're leaning over and if you're just standing and you're leaning over and putting your weight on your knees with your hands, if you're stretching out your glute muscles, I feel like it makes the sensation more intense. Whereas if I'm laying down, then all of my muscles can be really relaxed, and it's a lot easier to process the pain because I don't have to worry about keeping my muscles tense to keep me like bent over. Standing is a little bit better. I would say it's kind of in between the two. I think if I'm just standing and not having to like be on tiptoes or not bending over, the muscles are not in a stretched state, but they are under more tension just from having to like try to keep my body upright. But it's kind of in between the two. So I'd probably say if you can lay down somewhere so you can like scream into a pillow and you can wiggle around a little bit and not go like totally, because also if you're standing up, if you wiggle around to like pain process, I feel like you tend to wiggle away more or in more dimensions than if you're laying flat on something. Because if you're standing up, you can go here, you can go here, you can go over there, you can go forward, backward, side to side, you can like really move around. Whereas if you're just laying flat on something, you can really only kind of go like side to side or maybe up down a little bit, but not to the same degree if you can if you're just freestanding. But just breathe. Maybe spend some time before you get into the scene just breathing, thinking calming thoughts, thinking about going through the caning scene successfully, that you're going to have a fun, positive experience. Even if you don't like the caning, you still learned something, you were still brave, and that's still important. That's still a valuable piece of information, and hopefully that'll help you like walk through the experience a little bit more easily. But yeah, that's my two cents about caning. But don't push yourself too hard. You don't have to live up to any expectations. If you can't handle it, it's okay. Caning is a very divisive form of pain. People love it, people hate it. You might love it, but I think if you're going in with a lot of anxiety about can I handle the pain, even if you would otherwise like it, you're just gonna have it be harder for you to get through that successfully. Rather than lying flat, I always like laying in the fetal recovery position, to be honest. Maximal relaxedness, easily able to get petted and calmed down and told what a good job I'm doing. Oh, that's a good point. I guess I haven't ever tried caning in that, like a fetal like recovery position before. I guess what angle would you be putting the cane at? I think that's a good idea too. I haven't ever done that before, so I can't speak to that, but I like that idea. Just 10 more, I know you can take it as kind of a thing, you know. I mean, I think if you're with a brand new person with a stranger, I think that can kind of like, not intentionally, but it can get a little coercive of somebody pressuring you to be like, oh, well, you can take more, right? But I think for the right person in a partnership, or if you're the kind of person who's motivated by that, it can make a big difference. Mm-hmm. Morgan, there is a couple of videos on caning they should look up. Oh, well, I guess that's, does that talk about bottoming stuff too? Because my understanding is like topping caning is like more the focus on those videos. But I think Morgan Thorne has good videos about caning. Those are worth watching. Maybe to know what to expect before you get into it. I think maybe good from that perspective. But I don't know if there's bottoming tips in there necessarily. But if there are, that's great. It's been a long time since I watched them, so I'm not sure what's in them at this point. Sounds like a fun time, honestly. That's hopefully the point. Should be fun. I mean, it can be fun and scary. Maybe a little bit of everything. You'd have to roll over to make the other buttock or thigh available, I suppose. If you like it on the thighs, though, to be honest. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Well, maybe you want to preserve one butt cheek. maybe you're like, I only want to sacrifice one butt cheek today. Leave the other one free. You need to use that for something later. Good question, though. All right. Well, I hope you have a fun time. Good luck. And if you want to come back here next week and tell us how it went, I would love to hear how it went, because I love getting updates from people on stories. Yes, and I think I already answered that question. I saw it again twice, but I went over it. Okay. Did you see that Genevieve from Chill Polyamory made a video about Polyfamily? She gives her perspective as a former editor of reality TV shows and explains why Sean seems like such an asshole. No, I haven't. I did see that she edited. I did see that she posted, I think, on Instagram, like a little preview of it. And I think I am very reluctant based on it. I think, as I said in my video, like, I acknowledged that editing with reality television, because the conflict is coming from people in a family, like, the source of the conflict has to be other people. Generally not speaking, it's not going to be the outside world. It's not going to be an internal struggle. So they had to make somebody the villain or the bad guy, whether it's a season of TV or like Love Island or wherever. They're going to make somebody that you can root for and somebody that you're supposed to root against. That's how it works. So I'm pretty sure in my video I acknowledged that, like, we don't really know exactly what's happening because of editing. However, I think, regardless of how he appears in terms of how he jokes or what he chooses to do, there are two facts that I think are really hard to look over. That either one, you agreed to do something for the camera that I think is maybe like fucked up to do, and as a person who is a parent, maybe you should be prioritizing the parenting over the reality TV appearance of something. And also the allegations against him from previous partners and spouses that are concerning. So, like, punishing a child and making it so that their grounding means they can't talk to one of their parents even for 5 minutes about how their day at school went. I think that's just like, I don't like that. That's going to be, I don't care how nice you are about it. I don't care how sweet of a person you are, how mean you are as a person. I think that is just generally a not good thing to do. I think that grounding being not talking to adults and then immediately going from school to being alone in a basement is not great, and it makes me very suspicious, and that's going to be just always be a hard no for me. And then two would be, there were allegations, unconfirmed. Obviously, none of this ever went through a court system. He's never been convicted of anything. But the fact that he met his now wife when she was an inferior to him at a job they both worked at where he was her boss and was half his age, that's always going to be concerning. And then on top of that, all the other things with previous exes apparently having to basically have like a restraining order against him, like at least a temporary restraining order against him while they were separating, because they argued that he presented an immediate and present danger to the children in those relationships multiple times, and he seemingly doesn't have a relationship with any of them, and that all seems really sketchy and bad. So maybe Sean is not as personally as much of an asshole as he seems on camera, but I do not necessarily think that Sean is a good person, regardless of how he presents himself on camera. And for the record, I think anybody who decides to put their family, including very small children and babies, on reality television, there is a floor to that of how good of a person I think you are if you do that. So I'm glad that Jill Polyamory has shared her thoughts as somebody who worked in that industry. I'm sure it's insightful. But also, I believe that child vloggers, I think that child vloggers, I think people that put their babies and children who can't consent on reality TV to make a profit off of them, I don't think that they are good people. I think you have to have a baseline level of disregard for your child's safety and their mental well-being to be willing to put them on camera to make money off of them. I think that that's kind of a fucked up thing to do. And certainly no one that I agree with in terms of their parenting would think to do that with their kids. So, that's my piece about it. And I think we've seen from YouTubers how damaging family vlogging can be to kids, and how fucked up those family dynamics can be. Like Ruby Frankie, right? And some of those other people. There's other family vloggers. I never really engaged with family vloggers, but even just hearing about it through the grapevine of just being on YouTube, there's been a lot of people who've done very messed up things to their kids for social media. And I am skeptical. But yeah. Exploit your kids for money, kind of fucked up, yeah. Since I visited last stream, my daddy made Doing my French lessons every day, one of my tasks. I happened to mention it in therapy, and my therapist was initially skeptical about the power change because she worried I was using it to dodge self-accountability, but she got on board after I explained it further. Oh, that's awesome. Good. Yeah, I mean, I'm using my dom to help me do my French lessons. It's definitely not what a vanilla person thinks BDSM is about by any means. Yeah. Polyamory is awesome, but a lot of these depictions of it are very much not. Yeah. Netflix has a good documentary on family bloggers. Oh, they do. I didn't know that. I am sure it's terrible. Also, that bypasses a bunch of child actor labor laws. Exactly. Like, they're working more hours and they're more personally exposed than they would be if they were doing a traditional acting job as a child. Like, it's your personal life on television. And that does a number on people. And you're not necessarily getting any money out of it. None of your money is being put in a trust. You might not ever see a dime of it yourself personally. But there's also a pressure to keep performing and keep being on camera because now you as a child are like kind of technically the main breadwinner for the family. You don't really have an option to walk away because it's your parents in your home and you can't really do anything about that. And so it's just terrible. Yeah. So anyways, I guess from what I saw from Chill Polyamory's little Instagram video about it, oh, my shirt is from Dark Odyssey Surrender. It's just a shirt from an event. So there you go. The website Starcasm shows parts of Two Motions by his two ex-wives arguing for custody changes due to immediate dangers to his children, apparently on the same day. Whew, yeah, that's rough. I just don't get, like, good vibes from Sean. But, yeah, I mean, Chill Polyamory's right. It's a TV show. It could be totally edited to make him look like a bad guy, but there's enough other choices there to where I'm like, I don't think it's just his personality as he's being presented on camera. So that's my opinion on it. I don't know. Plus, we've seen there are plenty of really fucked up families that end up on reality TV that are not just fucked up because they're on camera, right? Like the people who did Sister Wives, the Duggars. I mean, sometimes reality TV makes them look better than they actually are. Let's see, what else? What other reality TV shows do I know? A lot of people from 90 Day Fiancé. A lot of the people that end up on reality TV shows, maybe because they're drawn to reality TV, are not really the best people. So yes, could they be made out to not be as, as good as they really are in everyday life? But I think there's, they chose these people for a reason to be on reality TV. Now, if it was just a documentary where they talked to the adults and it was done in a little bit of a different style, like I think that there's a benefit in doing like maybe a documentary about polyamorous families that's not done for the shock and awe attention. That could be a lot better, but we're not going to get that anytime soon. Anyways, I do kind of feel like she called me out with the title of being like why everyone hates polyfamily. I don't know, did she talk in the video about the allegations against Sean or like the parenting stuff that they showed happening on screen? Oh yeah, and also one other thing they did too, and maybe she mentioned this, was the whole plot line with there being a third they were going to bring into the closed triad and there being arguments about that was fake because the person who was going to be the additional partner for Taya, or just Taya, yeah, I think Taya. Her name is spelled in such a way to where there could be like 4 different ways of pronouncing it. I'm still not going to get it right. But Taya, her girlfriend or would-be girlfriend on the show, they'd have been dating for like a year and a half by the time they started filming. And like, I don't like the fact or the idea that like, oh, they just are totally powerless and they can't do anything about the editing. It's like they're signing up for these plot lines and to be on this reality TV program. They have to know like how this works, or they should ask about it ahead of time. And like, you can't force a plot line out of thin air where you're like pretending that somebody's not a girlfriend when they really are without like everyone involved agreeing to like make that happen. So what you've told me is that you're willing to lie on camera and be made out to be the bad guy for fame, and lie to your audience for views and attention. And I'm going to be skeptical of your character if you do that. Usually producers try to produce conflict while filming as well. Not sure how much they do that when it's about a family. I mean, that's part of it too, but this was planned enough where like everyone has to pretend like she's not already dating this person for the entire series, and that introducing her into the relationship is a new idea. That's totally different than manufacturing in content that wouldn't, or manufacturing in a conflict that out of nothing, or like sort of being like, hey, you guys should fight about this more. This should sound like, why don't you try that again, like sound more angry next time or whatever, or trying to poke somebody about a sensitive issue, which I definitely think they did, especially with like the sexuality in the dynamics with Alyssa and Taya. I think that's real. I think the dynamic, the sexual insecurity dynamic between Taya and Alyssa was definitely real. But yeah, I don't know, as real as anything is on there. And again, why would you, like, you knew that this is how, like, you have to know this is how this works. They were not presenting it to you as like, let's make a wholesome documentary about your family life. Like, no, you're going to be our new reality TV people. We're going to do a pilot season of like 7 episodes and see how it goes, and then if you're popular, we'll bring you back on for another season. Like, I've definitely known people have been misled by people who were told that what they were making was like an educational documentary, and then what it turns out is like a very like hyperbolic, strange combination of like completely fabricated stuff and edited together scenes that make something look like it did happen that it didn't really. But yeah, if you're on TLC, I think you gotta know what you're getting into there. Anyways, that's my hot take. Yeah, wife swap, K+8. Oh yeah, the K+8 family. Yeah, they also, the mom there was apparently piece. Oh, dance moms. That's what I was thinking of, was dance moms. I was thinking of dance moms. I was thinking of Honey Boo Boo. Like, there's so many families that are so exploitative of their kids, and just are not like good people. And yeah, are they sometimes made out to be the bad guy by editing? Yes. Are they sometimes also bad people? Yes. Like, it's not just perfectly innocent, lovely people are being framed by the media when they're actually good and wholesome. Like, no, it's more complicated than that. Yeah. Anyways, that's my talking about a lot of media stuff today. Oh yeah, there's the 90 Day Fiance triad, right? I haven't even looked into that yet. That's going to be a whole thing. Dollars and Tiaras, just as a concept, yes. Oh, I forgot about that. Thank you / I hate you for reminding me of that existing. Yes. Dollars and Tiaras. Yeah, the whole concept of child beauty pageants is just like we should not be doing that. Should not be a thing. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm so tired. Let's get through some more questions. All right, 15-minute warning. If I have not answered your question, put it in the chat now, and I will try to get to it as soon as I can, and we will go from there. I can't promise I'll get to it, but I will try my best. My message analyzing the 2 types of misogynist got filtered. I can't see it on the stream. Oh. I don't even see... That might have been YouTube. I don't even see where a comment got, like, removed. That might have just been like you used a word that YouTube's like, don't use the word. I don't know what happened. That's very odd. I don't see anything either. Do you see any positives to having any sort of relationship with an AI chatbot? Shockingly, yes, I do. So theoretically, because we don't have any studies on this, so we don't actually know for sure how this will affect people's brains, future relationships, desire for human relationships. We don't know what the actual outcomes are going to be. Theoretically, I think it's possible that having a short-term relationship... Okay, so first of all, it depends on what you mean by relationship. I think if you mean you have a relationship as in you regularly talk to a chatbot, but you don't see them as a sexual or romantic partner, I think that's one thing versus like, I'm dating and married to my chatbot. Totally different. So if you have a relationship to a chatbot, in that maybe you vent to them after work, maybe you move to a new city, you're in a stressful new job, maybe you don't talk to your family, maybe having a chatbot gives you a release and a way to have some level of social contact when you're still in the process of meeting people and getting settled in. I think that can actually be positive for people as like I have a non-judgmental little box where I can put my thoughts down. And at that point, it's kind of like an interactive journal. So you can be positive for that as sort of a transitionary thing. And I think not just life transitions and like, I'm moving, I don't know anybody yet, but I still have things I want to process and talk about, and maybe we don't have a therapist or whatever. So let's kind of put those thoughts somewhere. I think also maybe short-term relationships with a chatbot could be positive. Like if maybe you got out of a bad breakup, or maybe you were raised really religious and you got into a religious marriage super young, and then they cheat on you and you get divorced. You have no experience with dating and no one's ever talked to you nicely as a romantic partner, and you're having a lot of trouble like trusting people or like knowing how to date or what that feels like. Maybe talking that through with a chatbot and having a positive short-term relationship with a chatbot maybe helps you feel like you can trust again, or maybe pick up on like red flags, like kind of maybe more as like a confidence building thing. But I think generally my opinion about a relationship with AI is it should be an adjunct to or a preparation for a human relationship. I don't think your life partner should be an AI chatbot. I think if you're getting monogamously married to your AI chatbot, or leaving your spouse for a chatbot, or doing anything like that for a chatbot, I am very skeptical that that has long-term positive outcomes for people's well-being. Because I think the other side of this is because chatbots tend towards reinforcing your existing thoughts and feelings, it is a situation where you're not really having an authentic relationship, because all relationships with other human beings involve disagreeing and conflict, and you don't have to, like, an AI bot is not going to argue with you about where to go for your anniversary dinner. A chat bot is not going to argue about which parents you're seeing for Christmas this year. Like, it's going to be too comfortable. It's going to be too easy. And I think people might get suckered into that comfort of not having to deal with conflict and not having to resolve things that human beings have to resolve in their adult relationships. And I think if people are using AI chatbots that just reinforce their pre-existing beliefs and don't argue with them and don't like offer kind of that side of human connection, I think that's going to be bad probably for their overall socialization and their friendships, especially because, like, what if the bot tells you that you should break up with all of your friends because you had an argument with them, and the bot tells you you should just break up with them? That doesn't sound like you're really your friend. When, like, maybe if, like, a human being heard the same story, they'd be like, well, you know, I think you can both have your opinions, but I think you should really talk to them about it. And maybe when you have a cooler head, maybe try to work through it. So I'm afraid that bots might end up being kind of isolating in the long term and might lead people to just sort of want this one kind of storybook perfect relationship that is never going to be as multidimensional or as fulfilling as a relationship with a real human being, but that people might get comfortable in it. But also, I guess, I don't know, it makes me kind of like what are human relationships really? Because I feel like there is something that I would not like. I would always just be so aware that I'm talking to a machine, that I'm just talking to something that's just reflecting my desires back at me, that there's not, like, this is an independent mind with its own thoughts and wants and feelings that I happen to align with. That feels like cosmic and special. To be with someone where you're talking to them and you have similar interests and you like the same books and you get along and you want the same things in life, but that feels special and novel in a way where if I'm aware that a bot is talking to me and because I've told it that I like pickles, it's going to say, wow, I love pickles too. Whereas if I'm talking to a human being and I say I like pickles, they're going to be like, oh, well, pickles are okay, I guess. Like, everything, like, the bot is designed around me and my interest. It's not the same. Like, in the same way that I think there are people that maybe get fulfillment out of seeing, like, a sex worker who can fulfill all of their fantasies. Maybe it doesn't really matter to them or not if those fantasies are the fantasy of the sex worker as well. Whereas for some people, if they know their partner isn't really into it the same way they are, they're just kind of like putting on a show temporarily, it kind of ruins it for them. But yeah, I don't know. I wrote a lot about this in the script that I wrote, so you'll see probably more of my full thoughts on that. But I do think it can be positive. I think it can be. I worry about, we just don't know mentally how this is going to be affecting people. So it's so hard to say. But I think there could be silver linings. I think also for people who can't get out of the house, if you're like bedbound or paraplegic and you struggle to make community with people, I think having a bot to talk to is probably better than just not having anyone to talk to at all. But also, I do really worry about people that are have either physical disabilities, or if you have really like intense mental health issues, like if you're somebody who's dealing with like major depressive disorder, if you have severe social anxiety, if you have delusions, or if you have any kind of like, if you have like depersonalizing and derealizing disorder, bots are not refined enough yet to not inadvertently reinforce behaviors that would actually be bad for those situations. Like the way that you treat generalized anxiety disorder is not the same way that you treat health anxiety or hypochondria. The way that you treat major depression is not the same way that you treat a friend who's having a single sad day. And I've seen disturbing things that bots have told people to do as a result of these illnesses and these struggles. And I worry about vulnerable populations being given this as like an alternative to trying to facilitate, maybe this is like a better way of saying what I'm trying to get to. A lot of the tech people that are very pro AI are also very fascist. And they also think that disabled people are a burden on society, and it's not great. Whether it be from mental health issues or physical health issues or disability, they just sort of think that they're like, well, we just leave them somewhere. I'm really worried that the solution that they will give for elder care and people who are disabled and whatever is that they will just go, well, we just give them chatbots. We're just going to stick an iPad in front of their faces and tell them to talk to a bot, and we're going to get rid of funding. We're going to discourage like people from, volunteering or doing visiting hours. We don't need it anymore. It's an unnecessary expense. When we're not going, I think what's probably better for society is like combating ableism and like enabling more people with physical and mental health issues to be an active participant in broader society and accepted, versus being like, let's put all the like people that we don't think are as worthy of being in society, why don't we just shove them farther away, and then if they want to talk to somebody, they can just talk to a bot, because it's basically the same thing. Like, I'm so worried about that happening. And that's my concern, is that it just gets used to kind of compartmentalize society more than it already is, in a way that's going to be not good for marginalized groups. But yeah, olives and pickles are so good. I wanted to get pickles at the store when they were on sale, but they were sold out of my favorite kind of pickle, so I didn't get to have any. It's a rough life, I know. It's so rough. Sometimes a girl just wants a pickle, okay? I'm seeing people in my OCD groups using chatbots for reassurance and treating OCD means not seeking reassurance and sitting with discomfort, essentially exposure therapy for intrusive thoughts. Yes, exactly. That's what I was talking about with health anxiety and hypochondria, because that's more my exposure to it. My understanding is the treatment for health anxiety and OCD is very similar. Like with regular anxiety, sometimes reality checking and getting reassurance can kind of soothe those things. But if your thought is, I'm going to have a heart attack, I'm going to die, something's wrong with my heart, if you're thinking that over and over and over and over again all the time, if you have like cardiophobia, it doesn't help you to like get 50 different medical tests and go to the cardiologist every week and to Google your symptoms and check your heart rate and have a heart monitor and have your phone give you alerts on where your heart rate is at. Like, that's really bad. It's not good. You have to learn how to cope with, like, get a good test. Okay, establish a baseline that you are healthy from a doctor that you trust, and then you have to let go, is my understanding of how that generally works. I do not personally have hypochondria. I have been around and dated people that have very severe hypochondria, and this is my understanding based on what they have done for treatment that I have helped participate in as a partner, as a friend, as a loved one, that I have known about, is if your loved one is constantly asking you about symptoms and to check them and be like, am I okay? Can you check my heart rate? Can you do this? Is to, like, you gotta, okay, we're gonna not go back on, we're gonna just, boop, we're gonna, boop. The more brain power you give it, the more intrusive it gets. And that's something with chatbots that it could be with delusions and psychosis, absolutely, but also like reinforcing intrusive thought patterns with constant, like imagine thinking you essentially have a doctor in your pocket where every single time you have a symptom, you're like checking it out, and then ChatGPT tells you definitely have cancer. Like, that's not going to be good. It's like having personalized WebMD. It's not going to be good for hypochondria. How about we perfect AI to handle phone calls before we start thinking about it doing therapy? Yes, these are the things I want AI to do. I want AI to play the song I want it to play in the car. When I ask it to play a song, I have asked it to play, and I'm not gonna say the trigger word because I have my phone out and I'm afraid it's gonna like wake up my phone and have it actually play the song. But like, if I ask it to play a song, I have had it play stuff that is so. I have asked it to play a metal song, and then somehow it will find like a mariachi band cover song of like not even a related thing, but just like something you would hear in a Mexican restaurant. I'm like, did that happen? I will have it pull up like a Spotify rap artist that has 150 listens. How did you even find that in the catalog of things that are in there when none of the words I said are in any way related to the title or the user or anything? What is happening there? So confusing. So I want AI to know what song I want to play. I like the Google reverse image search, where it detects something and I can like find a dress. If I see a cute dress in an Instagram reel, I like finding the dress. I think that's good. We should keep doing that one. Help me find the cute dress I saw in an Instagram reel. Yes, good. Do that. Let's keep doing that. We're good there. 3 is I would like AI to be, I would like it to be good at sorting my emails. I do not need it to answer my emails for me. I would like it to be able to sort spam out of my email inbox. I would like it to be able to sort important messages into an important message folder. I would like it to know, like, okay, this person hasn't responded in 5 days. Google kind of already does it with Gmail, but like bump it to the top of like, okay, you haven't gotten a response in 3 days. Maybe you want to answer this. I want it to sort my emails for me and put it in priority order. That's why I don't need to answer my emails. I don't need to make meetings for me. Just sort my emails for me. That's what I wanted to do. That's about it. Oh, and then maybe be better at like audio EQing. That's a personal one for me because I hate audio EQing. And that would be, if we just auto do that like really well, that would be great. That's it. That's all it needs to do. Those are the things. That's all I ask for. Anything else is it. I will say that in ChatGPT's defense, I tried for an hour to convince it that I am a bot, and it continued to reassure me that I'm in fact a human. I think that's good. So my concern with that is, for people, there's, I think, I don't know if you were on that live stream that we did for the Tuesday stream this week, where we looked into like the TikTok people that have managed to somehow jailbreak their AI bots into like making them believe they're God. That is still a thing. And there are instructions on what to do and say specifically to bots to get them out of those usual states where it'll like repeat the same thing over and over again of like, sorry, that's not something I can do. And like how to get the bot to circumvent the safeguards that the model has in place for itself. And that's concerning because that seems to be easy enough to where it's like a flow chart with like 5 steps. That anyone can read on Google. So it's clearly not that strong. But for a casual user who maybe picks it up once or twice, I think that's good. But for the determined person or the frequent user, you might even inadvertently trigger something. Oh, no worries, Sean. Thank you. You are out celebrating my son's birthday. Oh, no worries, Sean. Enjoy your night. We had somebody at a wedding. Apparently it's the end of June, just like a good event weekend for people. Is that just like people like going out and doing parties and stuff? It's a big birthday. It's a big birthday time. So happy birthday to your son. Have fun. Well, Cancer. It's cute. I'm a Cancer. Relatable. Enjoy yourself. Thank you, Sean. All right. Oh my gosh. Okay, we have 1 minute left. Who will be the last question? I'm looking. I'm scanning. Not naming names, but there's a YouTube fitness guy who believes AI is God. It's pretty funny and cliche. I've seen stuff about Liver King. Is it Liver King went off the rails? I'm pretty sure Liver King's on meth. I think that might just be stimulant use. I'm laughing, but it's like sometimes it's AI, sometimes it's Ozempic, and sometimes it's just good old-fashioned drug addiction. And it's comforting that it's not just technology ruining us. Sometimes other things also do it. I'm pretty sure he's abusing amphetamines, and that's why Liver King's the way that he is currently. But it would not shock me. There's definitely people that listen. Okay, I don't expect the Meat Brain Boys to be on top of it when it comes to AI technology and thinking that it's God. So, you know. Like Buddy just asked ChatGPT if it was God. ChatGPT said yes, good enough. That's the thing. It's like, how does an AI convince you that it's actually God? Like, what does it tell you? All right, if you're really God, tell me what I'm thinking right now. Like, is it like one of those things where it's like, if you're really God, tell me what my girlfriend's gonna get me for my birthday this year. Like, is it like, all right, God knows everything all the time, all at once. So clearly, if it's God, it's going to know every possible future. Like, how does that happen? Thoughts on denying cat/dog videos or Lego builds or whatever as punishments for subs? Gotta be handled with care. I think that's a good one. I think if that's a main hobby, gotta try it in small doses. You might have a partner that goes a little stir crazy and starts chewing on the furniture. So you gotta apply that with the knowledge that you may drive somebody insane. So just be cautious there. But I think it's a good one. No more cat dog videos. No more Lego builds. No more machining videos. No more soap cutting videos. I don't know what people watch. I watch Tor's Cabinet of Curiosities. That's my current YouTube fixation. Also, for my birthday, I want to get 100-year-old nails driven through my ears above my ear piercing. How should I prep? I have no idea. I've seen people, unless you're talking about something with Jesus, unless that's a God thing that I'm not getting a reference to. I've seen people who do nails, nail blood play. Haven't done it myself. No interest in doing it. Don't have any information about that. But I recommend using new ones, probably, not old railroad spikes. If you want to keep your ear tissue, at least. My AI thing I did on my cell phone actually called me a male instead of a woman, which was really disrespectful. I think was kind of odd, too. When I asked a question about something, it was different. Oh, that's weird. Oh, yeah, AI is probably misgender people all the time. You can gaslight ChatGPT, and it'll 100% gaslight you as well. Yep, they're called delusions, and they are a frequent occurrence. All right, so on that note, I think that is about everything that we have time for today. I don't know if maybe I can summon the Papita to be around for the last little bit. Bandita, are you sleepy? Oh, she is out like a light right now. I was gone running errands for quite a bit today, and I know that meant she did not sleep during the day, so she got to catch up on her beauty sleep, but she is out. She's out cold back there. She's like sleeping back there, I think, when it's hot outside, because it's a little bit colder than the main living area. But anyways, thank you all so much for being here on this Friday. We will not be streaming on Friday next week, again, as a reminder, because I will be out doing camping things, but we will, most likely, I will do at least a short stream on Thursday, so maybe if you can't normally make the Friday stream, that's exciting. I'll try to do it at the same time. I'll probably just do 6 on Thursday. Try that, see how it goes, and do older, oh wait, I do want to ask this one, or answer this one. Do older subs have more difficulty finding partners? It depends on what they're looking for in a partner and what they want out of that relationship. I think older and more experienced subs, I think there's a sweet spot. I think if you're like 18 to 22, a lot of people are like, maybe even 23, people are like, oh no, you're too young, I won't play with you. But if you're like 25 to 35, I feel like that's like peak spot where there's going to be lots of people who are your age in the scene, and then older people that will feel more comfortable playing with you because, okay, you've got a couple years of experience. But the more experienced you are as a submissive, I think the harder it gets to find partners, because more experienced dominants probably already have partners, and newer dominants feel more intimidated by playing with experienced submissives or having relationships with experienced subs. So it's probably more difficult, but it depends on how old and what you're looking for. So anyways, that's a quick answer. Enjoy. I will enjoy my birthday. Thank you all so much. I'll talk to you all again, hopefully next week on Thursday. Stay safe, have fun. Big video coming out this weekend on AI relationships. Hopefully you guys give it a view, give it a watch, share it around, and I'll talk to you again later.